Gracefully and Frankly is generously sponsored by the very good Canadian folks at Sierra Sil. What do you do when it's June and you're asked to go in goal for a summer hockey league? Well, if you're my husband, you thank heavens you take Sierra Sil daily and can still move without pain even though you haven't played since March. Read about their guarantee, how this natural anti-inflammatory works, and more online. Oh, and good luck tonight, Robbie.
SierraSil.com is the website. Sierra, like the mountains, SIL.com. And when you're checking out your purchase, get 10% off with the code GF.
Welcome to episode 79 of Gracefully and Frankly. I'm Erin Davis.
I'm Lisa Brantz, and you know, there's magic in that magic eraser, but unfortunately there's something else in it too, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm so disappointed. It's very upsetting.
Okay, we're going to talk about some things that you thought were true but just aren't. We're going to myth bust a little bit later on in the show.
And why is the one American who seems to get every open broadcasting job able to do that? What is it about Ryan Seacrest? We'll find out.
Yep, there's an actual reason for it.
And there's a reason why we watch what we watch on TV, but it's only because we have friends on social media who tell us, where else do you hear what's good on the tube? Or the streaming, or like the kids say, on the phone or on the tablet. I don't know. I don't know what the kids say.
We'll be on that and a look behind the curtain when it comes to our broadcasting nightmares, things that actually happened. You know, they come back to haunt us. May they not haunt you. Speaking of sleep and nightmares, boy, you had a nightmare trying to get to your family reunion a week ago, but at the end of the day, quite literally, after all that traffic going from Port Stanley to where?
Sharon, Ontario, north of Newmarket.
Yeah?
Yep. I had my Envy pillow with me. It was tempting to pull it into the front seat when I was driving and have a little nap, but you know what it's like in stop and go. Eventually they go. But going to the hotel, the more I see undercover investigations and real video of what happens in hotels, the more I'm attracted to my travel envy pillow, because as long as there's no actual stain on a pillow, they don't do anything with it. So you could be lying in somebody else's, skin stuff.
That's enough.
Yeah.
Don't make me edit.
No. So
thank you.
Even my own Envy pillow, if I put something on it, at least it's mine, but it has copper on it, which is a natural sanitizer, and it's just so much more comfortable to have your own pillow with you. And when it's the Envy pillow and it's got that V shape that you're used to, it's nearly impossible to try and adjust to an old pillow. So, yep, my Envy pillow goes with me, and if you want to find out all about it and why I would go to the trouble, which isn't that much trouble at all, go to envypillow.com and check out the survey and all the different models they have.
And use the code GF to get 10% off. envypillow.com. Well, I kind of hoped that today we'd be celebrating a little bit more than the upcoming Canada Day, which, of course, is July 1st, as it is every year. But, pity about Monday night. It was a lot of fun and a great ride. And, you know, Lisa, it was so nice to see Canada united about something, for the most part.
And what do you think about Connor McDavid not coming out for the trophy? There's a lot of people talking about how he should have come out to accept his trophy, but that the only trophy he wanted, of course, was the Stanley Cup. And did that matter to you? Do you think he was pouting?
Well, okay, I'll give you Rob's perspective, my hockey-playing, hockey-suffering husband. He thought that it could have been more sportsmanlike, let's put it that way, for him to go out. However, the crowd was booing at his name. Now, were they booing Connor McDavid or were they booing Gary Bettman, which, of course, everybody always does, the NHL boss? I just think that the devastation of not winning and him being captain and wanting to be there with his team and sort of mourn with them and console them, I think that might have been the more important thing. And then, of course, we find out he's had abdominal injuries that may mean surgery in the off season. And then Draisaitl was playing with a broken rib and a broken finger. These guys guys. You wouldn't see a baseball player anywhere near the field if they have a hangnail, but the hockey players are a different breed.
Okay, so that's true. So he's playing through injury and everything, but he can't suck it up to come out and get the Conn Smythe. So I'm not the world's biggest hockey fan, but I know enough about sportsmanship. I just kind of wish he had come out and been a little more sportsmanlike, but whatever.
On we go for another year, and it's time for the Leafs to start planning for
golf?
Exactly. I don't want to seem like a bandwagon jumper, but I'll tell you, I've been an Oilers fan since at least Game 4 of the final series. So I know a thing or two about sports.
That's for sure. You do know a thing or two about sports. I used to fake it on the radio, but you actually knew it.
When I had to. As I've said before, it was the first thing I wrote in my news and sports cast because I did not want to make a mistake about sports. And honestly, Rob explains everything to me anyway.
Did I ever tell you my Peter Gross sports story?
Oh, Peter Gross was a diminutive sportscaster who made up for what he lacked in height in a ton of personality and brass. And he, of course, did sports on City TV and 680 News for years and years.
Right. So he used to provide me with my sportscast for 680 News. But when I was on CHFI with you, before I had come along, the woman who did news before me, one morning, Peter Gross got a phone call at about 8:30, and a guy said, "Can you please tell this woman that it's Mike Piazza?"
And not Mimkey Piazza.
Mimkey Piazza. So I have told you that story. Okay. Or you were there.
We were there.
Yes.
It was a typo, and he had typed Mimke. And so all morning she was saying the MVP for whatever or whatever he won in baseball was Mimkey Piazza.
On the rare occasion that Peter Gross and I still have correspondence for whatever, I mean, we're, loose pals. One of us will say Mimkey says hi because it's just so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And we're not coming down on her because we've all made our mistakes, but it is a classic.
It is. And it just gives people a little bit of a glimpse of what goes on behind the scenes. I'll tell you a story. When I moved into co-host position with Dawn Daynard, I had started out there being the morning newscaster and then gradually was doing full-on co-hosting, so I couldn't sit in the studio on my clickety-clackety IBM Selectric writing my news while a 3-minute song was playing. So they decided they would get a news writer for me. And one morning, a woman who had been exonerated in the murder of her husband because she had been abused, the headline she wrote was, "A Toronto woman has gotten away with murder." And I read it.
You get it cold. What are you going to do, right? It happens.
Exactly. And I had no reason to mistrust her. Well, the storm of you-know-what that came down on me for saying that. And I was like, wait, what? So sometimes you're handed copy cold and you just go with it and then you get hung out to dry because ultimately the buck stops with us, right?
Right,
Whoa.
It does. And there were many times that I sucked it up when there was a mistake. I wasn't going to go out and blame the writer because they're doing the best they can. And I remember one time in particular when I was co-hosting with somebody, she wrote, this was when Stephen Harper was running for the first time, and she made a typo in the headline and got it to me, I'm talking seconds before we went on the air, so I had no time to look at it. And it appears in front of me, and I say, Stephen Harper is not the Prime Minister of Canada. And it was supposed to be, is now the Prime Minister of Canada.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, it was a moment. And she shrunk to like half her size. She felt terrible. And I felt pretty stupid, but I just, what do you do? It's a mea culpa. You carry on. They happen.
Oh, these are the things that we have nightmares about still.
Yep.
To this day, the things that can go wrong. In fact, I'm sweating a little bit right now just talking about it. Oh, my God. But to go back to the sports that we began this show with today, wasn't it nice to see that unity for just a minute in Canada instead of the constant division? Are you PVRing or watching tonight the Trump-Biden debate? And, of course, we're recording this 48 hours before it's supposed to happen. So there's a very good chance that Trump's going to find a reason not to do the debate. So if you hear this and at the last minute they canceled the debate, you'll know that we tried. Anyway, I am definitely PBRing. Pretty interesting to watch.
I think so too, but even just talking about it, I can feel my blood pressure raising. And I just feel like, Erin, lately, if there's so much at stake, I almost want to run in the other direction. In our jobs, we had to dive in and dig through like you dig through the pile of manure looking for the pony. Yeah, we had to do that for our jobs. And now it's almost like I've developed an allergy to it. I just want to put up a force field and say nanu, nanu, and go the other way. I will watch it, though. Maybe with goggles on or something, or a helmet. I'm not sure.
Well, it all comes down to, again, the Serenity Prayer. Can I change this? And as Canadians, we can't change it, but we know that a certain amount of what happens in the United States, we are affected by it. And so, there is a vested interest here.
Well, we'll wave our Canada flags, and I'll wear my hat that says Canada is already great.
I love it.
And we'll just celebrate our country.
Yeah, what are you doing for Canada Day?
I haven't even really thought about it. The funny thing is, when you live in a tourist town, people come to you.
Right.
On a holiday, if we don't make plans, we will absolutely hear from at least one, possibly three people that we know saying, hey, we're going to be in town and we'll spend time with them. It's just the way it is. And we love it because people come to us, and sometimes they want to tour the town. Sometimes they just want to be on the harbor, whatever. And so that's how it works for us. We don't have to make plans. They come to us. What about you?
Well, here in Sydney, British Columbia, also known as Sydney by the Sea, we too are a tourist destination. You're right. Same thing. How lucky we are to live in a place that people want to come and visit instead of getting out of. Wow. But our fireworks are held on June 30th, so we'll get our fireworks the night before. And Lisa, we're going to take our little folding camp chairs and just go sit on the back lawn, because right outside our building is this enormous lawn, and it's almost right there that the fireworks are launched. So
that's so cool.
It's going to be some prime seating.
That sounds pretty ideal.
Yeah, and we're going to keep the puppies in their crate in the condo in a quiet place, probably here in the studio, so that they're protected from the sound, because they're not nervous of fireworks yet, but it's probably going to happen. Speaking of places of calm and your happy place, you get a treatment called cranial sacral, and I think I've had this, and it almost sounds woo-woo. It almost sounds like, ooh, Lisa's trying something new. But you've been doing this for a while. Explain to us what it is and what happened to you.
Okay, so this is, me, science first. So when my friend Lori mentioned that she had it done for her neck, because she also has a neck issue, I looked into it, because what happens during the cranial sacral massage treatment is almost nothing. It feels like the professional is doing almost nothing. This guy's name is Dominic. He's amazing. He's very well educated. But what they're doing is sort of moving tissue and fluid. And I come out of there feeling like $1 million. He hardly does anything. He kind of supports your head. I mean, he's doing stuff, but you don't really feel it. And the next day, Erin, I feel like I've been into a deep tissue massage.
Wow.
Even though he's hardly touched me. It's incredible. So when he does it, you have to sign a release form every time. I might touch a breast. I might touch a butt. I might touch whatever. Are you okay with that? And it's like, yeah.
And he might too. Yeah, it's a worry.
That's right. So, I sign the release form every time. And a lot of times he doesn't do that.
Oh, darn.
But last time, he did sort of cup my bum and then put a hand above it on my abdomen, and he was just very slowly moving. It's so non-sexual, non-threatening, non-anything. It's so medical. But as he was touching my stomach, I thought, oh, I have to fart. I have gas inside me, and I'm gonna toot. And he's got his hand right over the business area.
Right over the exhaust pipe?
That's right.
Oh, God.
And I thought, okay, here's the moment of truth. What do I do? Do I hope and clench, which he'll also feel? Mm-hmm. Or do I say something? And I decided that farting on his hand would be worse than the embarrassment of saying something. So I said to him, Dominic, I think I might have to pass some gas. And he very slowly, without even saying a word, he just kind of nodded and his hand slowly came out. And he decided to move elsewhere. It was just so funny. It was almost like a scene from a movie or something, because just not a word, but the sentence was barely out of my mouth and his hand was on the move. So
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I think I made the right choice. But it's a perfectly natural thing to happen, but it's still embarrassing.
Oh, talk to anybody who's been in a yoga class when it's perfectly silent and you are in twisted positions where your intestines and everything are being wrung out like a dishcloth. Right. It's why you never, ever eat before yoga class. I try and fast for about 3 days just to avoid it. But
I took Tai Chi for a while, and it was the same thing. This one woman just exploded every about 14 seconds. And finally she said, "I'm saying excuse me now, and it counts for all the future farts," because she just couldn't stop.
Oh, jeez. And then you turn into a 6-year-old and how do you not laugh? Yep. There is a little bit of a smirk because you think, okay, somebody just farted in a quiet room. But the other is oh, thank God it wasn't me. You don't want to bring that on yourself.
Exactly.
So can I ask you something indelicate?
Sure.
Was it silent but deadly, or what did the fart end up being?
It ended up just being the tiniest little blip, and there was almost nothing to it. But it felt like it could have been on the Richter scale, but it wasn't. So,
or something that sounds like Richter.
Yeah.
So I get this text from Lisa the other day, and it says, "They're coming for our magic erasers."
Right.
And I'm thinking, okay, is this code? Have we been invaded? What's going on? And it's from no less than Newsweek. So spill all the sweet tea, girl. What's happening with our magic erasers?
Do you use the magic eraser at all? Because for me, they are invaluable. I use them on absolutely everything.
Well, sure. Especially when you have kids or moving furniture, anything that can leave a scuff, right?
Yeah.
This sounds like a commercial. It's really not.
Right. They're made of melamine, and they're really tightly wound plastic strands that make them, even though they're very light, they have a lot of abrasion, but they don't scratch things. So they emit microplastics. And you know how they break down? So you might end up with half of one or then a quarter of one or whatever.
Yes.
Well, all those little pieces that when you're rinsing them are going into the water system. And it just disappoints me so badly because, we're trying to not get microplastics into our systems. They mess with our hormones and all of these other things that they do. We're finding them in seafood. Last week, they found them in men's private parts. They were doing some studies, and so now they're saying that these magic erasers are also letting these things go into the environment. So nobody has said yet that we can't use them or anything. They're not banned, but the science says that they're really bad for the environment, and it's better to use just a regular sponge to clean. But a regular sponge doesn't clean like a magic eraser. Isn't that sad?
Yeah, and it's not like you can use steel wool or anything because that'll take the paint right off anything.
Exactly.
Oh, man, all of these things that we're learning, and yet there is a piece of the puzzle we don't know yet. What are the microplastics doing to us? We know that there are so many things going on with hormones. We don't have a clue what all this is doing to us.
Back in the day when plastic first came out, it was thought to be the most amazing, incredible thing because it was almost indestructible, and that's one of its problems. It's almost indestructible, right? So it just stays on the earth forever. I had no idea what magic erasers were made of except magic and love.
Yeah.
Although, the builder of our house, and I guess to save some money, when they painted, they used all of the colors we wanted and everything, but they used low luster paint, like flat almost. When you use a magic eraser on it, it leaves a mark. And so I thought, okay, I use a magic eraser and then wipe it right away with a paper towel. Doesn't matter. Leaves a mark. That's really annoying. So I've been using them less and less anyway.
Well, the people who were kvetching about getting rid of plastic straws, they should know that for the first year last year, plastic straws were not in the top 10 things that they were finding anymore, washing up on beaches. So there has been an actual dent in our use of plastic just because we're switching to paper straws, which, I'm okay with anyway. My goodness. we've got to be a little bendy when it comes to our straws.
Ba-dum-bum. I follow a social enterprise, I guess, called the Plastic Bank, and they take all sorts of plastic out of the ocean and remake it into other stuff. People are doing amazing things, and I have hope that Colin's generation is going to make a huge difference with all this kind of stuff because they're growing up worried about it, unfortunately, because of the mess that past generations have made. So I think there's reason to be optimistic.
Yeah, well, just taking lunches and making sure that there's nothing in them that can go in the trash. That's a huge thing. I mean, God, when you think
Massive.
We used to throw away our little metal pudding cups or the fruit cocktail with the zip lid, all of those things. Now kids just take their drinks in reusable bottles and their sandwiches in little storage containers. It's a step, and every step we take has got to help. When we're talking about getting rid of microplastics, you know what's even harder?
What?
Getting rid of Ryan Seacrest. Holy, not that I'm saying we should.
No, but is he the only broadcaster in the U.S.? It seems like it.
And I'm referring to, as everybody knows, the fact that Pat Sajak, after 40-some years in the same job, is hanging up his letters. He had his last show, and Ryan Seacrest is going to be the new host of Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah.
And so, not out of a place of animosity or anything like that, because, I mean, he's a fine guy, I'm sure. He keeps getting all these gigs. But you may be wondering, why Ryan? Maybe you're not, but we were.
Yeah.
Well, there's actual science, or at least some logic behind why Ryan Seacrest gets hired for everything.
What?
And, you know, nothing against the guy. He's like a mannequin. You plug him in, he does the work, he goes home, you never read a scandal about him, you don't know if he's got a girlfriend or a boyfriend or whatever. It just doesn't matter because he just is.
Yeah.
He's just part of the entertainment landscape. The reason, Lisa, is in an era of polarized politics, collapsing trust in traditional institutions and lost local affinities, like, you know, a local radio station, for example, because he was hired to take over all the Rick Dees radio shows and all the Casey Kasem countdowns and Kelly and Ryan. When Regis shuffled off this mortal coil, Ryan came in. Well, it just turns out they need somebody who isn't political, who doesn't have an opinion, who can't alienate any potential viewers, and that person is Ryan Seacrest. And replacing Dick Clark, too, on New Year's Eve, right?
Yeah, and he's so much like Dick Clark because Dick Clark was kind of the same, right? He was like a walking, talking loaf of Wonder Bread. You didn't have any personality. I remember once Ryan Seacrest doing something super unclassy on American Idol, and it was just shocking. But it was such a blip. And because he's Ryan Seacrest, it was kind of met with a shrug. It's like, yeah, whatever. He made fun of the guy who used to host American Idol with him, took a shot at him. And it was an ad lib, and it was just tasteless. And it moved on because he gets a pass because he's Ryan Seacrest. Interesting.
Also interesting is, according to a YouGov poll, all 10 of the 10 most popular TV personalities as measured in surveys, from Alex Trebek and Bob Barker to David Letterman and Jay Leno and Vanna White and Steve Harvey, they are all either, you'll notice, dead or over 65.
Wow.
And, excuse me, Vanna White?
Yeah.
Like, no one knows a thing about her.
Again, she's inoffensive. She turns letters. She doesn't complain about her job. She loves it.
Yep.
Wears pretty gowns. You don't see her on TMZ because she threw up outside of a club or anything. So,
and if you want to find the first person who is under 65, it's number 15. Think the most inoffensive of all the late night talk show hosts, almost a game show host himself. Who is it?
Oh, Jimmy Fallon.
Yep. Jimmy Fallon.
Yep.
A mere pup at 49.
He is like a happy dog that just runs up to every guest with his tail wagging. I mean, I like him. I think he does some really clever things. But yeah, he's just a happy guy. Wow, that's amazing.
Yep. So we have finally figured out why Ryan Seacrest. And the answer is, why not? You and I have been so immersed in this show on Apple. And we talk about this because we have talked in real life, because we have a real life friendship about this in the past. How do people find these shows if not for word of mouth now? There's no TV guide for all of the great shows on different platforms. Okay, what are we talking about, Lisa?
Bad Sisters.
Yes.
And you are absolutely right, because Derek and I have mentioned that so many times. If not for somebody saying to us, oh, you've got to watch this show, there is no way to find anything. Bad Sisters is so good. It's very Irish. Bono's daughter stars in it. I mean, it's just great.
Yep.
But I'd never heard of it until you mentioned it to me.
And you know where I heard of it?
No.
My hairdresser.
There you go.
Yes. So here's the thing, and we'll give you the synopsis. First, it's on Apple TV, which right away closes a bunch of people off who don't have Apple. And that is so unfortunate. Basically, opening episode, the brother-in-law, who is horrific, is dead. But it turns out all 5 sisters have a reason to want him dead.
Yeah.
The police aren't investigating, but 2 insurance adjusters are, because if they pay out, they go under. So that's basically the synopsis of the show. The good news is they've re-upped it for a second season. But it's just so good.
It's just fantastic.
Also, Hacks. Where do you find Hacks with Gene Smart? On Crave. And there's all these great shows, and if people don't know where to find them, they're not going to.
We're so fragmented now, though. I mean, if you don't have Apple TV, you're not watching the Apple TV shows. If you don't have Prime, you don't see the Prime shows. So The Outlaws is another one that we found. Somebody mentioned to us, and it's set in England. Stephen Merchant.
Oh, yeah.
Ricky Gervais's writing partner, the tall guy. He's like 6'7" or something.
Yes.
And Christopher Walken's in it. It's so good. But again, had someone not said something to us, I don't think we would have even seen a promo for it.
It also depends on who you follow or subscribe to on social media, because sometimes someone will put a thread out and it'll say, I'm going to be binging something this weekend. What should I watch? And that's often the place where you'll get some really good suggestions. Right. Go ahead and follow a critic that you like. Like every weekend, the New York Times will post what we're watching this weekend, so that helps too. And of course, if all else fails, ask your hairdresser.
I found something that made my eyebrows raise into my hairline, Erin, and I'm wondering if it's going to do the same for you. And it's a bunch of myths you thought were still true. And of course, I don't know if you're like me, but I look at that title and I think, well, I don't think they're still true if they're not. Well, I did. I thought a bunch of them were true. So I just picked some of the best ones, and you won't feel dumb or anything, because a lot of people think that these are still true. So, sugar makes kids hyper. Apparently, that has been completely disproven.
I think about that all the time, Lisa, because it's such a trope on TV shows or in cartoons or in memes. If you don't come and get your kids, we're going to feed them sugar all day and set them loose, that sort of thing. But it's not true. Sugar doesn't hype kids?
Apparently not. It's just that kids are kids and they run around like lunatics, and it's got nothing to do with the sugar. It's been debunked in study after study after study, but it sticks with people, like a lot of these do.
Well, maybe it's the serotonin. You're getting candy, you love candy, you're happy. I'm like that with cake.
Here's another one. You only use 10% of your brain.
Ooh.
Now, I remember hearing this as a kid and thinking, what in the world? How can we only be using 10% of our brain? But it stays with you. The truth is, you only use 10 or 20% of your brain at once. We use our whole brain.
Oh.
But we just don't use it all at the same time.
Okay.
Weird, eh?
Yeah, good. All right.
Did you hear this one when you were a kid? If you swallow gum, it stays in your stomach for 7 years.
Of course. No?
Yeah, no, you poop it out. Yeah, you pass it. Yeah.
All right, that's good to know. Or if you're in a cranial sacral appointment, who knows?
If it's bubble gum, maybe I blow a bubble.
There you go. All right.
Oh, this one's kind of creepy, but hair and nails grow after you die.
No, and you know how I know this is true? When you're on an airplane and it's super dry, all of a sudden you feel new little hairs on your chin. And I figure, now you've got the actual science, but this is my theory, Lisa.
Okay.
That because it's dry, your skin retracts and everything goes boink. and that would include your nails when you die. Is that about it?
That's it exactly.
Woo-hoo!
Your skin recedes, nothing grows. And that's why it looks like things are growing, but they're not.
Okay.
My mom used to say this one all the time. Don't sit on that, whatever cold thing it is. You'll get a hemorrhoid. Except she used to call it piles.
Okay, Gomer. Is that even a thing?
Apparently it's not true.
Okay.
You can get a hemorrhoid from a whole bunch of other things, but not from sitting on something cold. And the last one is cracking your joints will give you arthritis.
No, it'll just give you a whole bunch of space around other people on the subway.
That's a good point. So when you crack your joints, it's not even the joints you're cracking. It's actually this synovial fluid that lubricates your joints. It gets full of small bubbles of air. When you crack your joints, the bubbles expand and pop like you're popping bubble wrap. It's got nothing to do with your joints themselves. You will not get arthritis from it. Tell your mother you can keep cracking your joints. Just go outside and do it.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Miss Lisa, for setting us straight on the myths.
You're welcome. Set me straight too, sister.
What a great way to wrap up, I guess, the first half of 2024. 79 episodes.
Oi.
Yeah, here we go into the second half. You have a wonderful Canada Day. Try not to tick anybody off who has an F. Trudeau flag on their boat if you see one this weekend.
It's not back. It didn't come back.
Yay.
You have a wonderful one as well, watching the fireworks and enjoying your new digs.
Yes, still not here 100% of the time, but was I ever? Anyway, thanks to Envy Pillow and Sierra Sill, and we will talk to you again next week. I'm Erin Davis.
I'm Lisa Brandt. Bye for now.